A billionaire stands at his daughter's grave, like he has for 10 years. But today, something is different. A stranger is crying at the headstone, and beside him stands a 9-year-old girl with his dead daughter's eyes. In the next few seconds, he'll discover a secret that will shatter everything he thought he knew about his own family. What he doesn't know yet is that this little girl is his granddaughter, and her story will change his life forever. Welcome to Radiant Story and Tales. While you are here, please hit the subscribe button and comment your view on the story and where you are watching from. Let me tell you a story about a man who had everything money could buy, but nothing his heart truly needed. His name was William Hartford, and at 54 years old, he stood at the top of the world. Or at least, that's what people thought when they saw his name on the tallest buildings in Chicago. His penthouse sat on the 60th floor, with windows that looked out over Lake Michigan. Everything in his life sparkled. The marble floors, the crystal chandeliers, the expensive suits hanging in his closet. But here's the thing about wealth. It can't fill the empty spaces in your heart. William's hair had turned silver at the sides. His blue eyes, once sharp and confident, now carried a heaviness that no amount of sleep could fix. Every morning, he woke up in that massive apartment, surrounded by luxury, and felt completely alone. The silence was deafening. The emptiness was crushing. 10 years ago, William lost his daughter. Her name was Emma, and she was only 24 when she died. It happened on a rainy October night. Her car slid off the road and plunged into the Chicago River. By the time William flew back from a business trip in London, it was too late. He never got to say goodbye. That night haunted him every single day. You see, William had been the kind of father who was always gone. Not because he didn't love Emma. He loved her more than anything. But he convinced himself that work came first. That providing meant more than being present. That one more deal, one more meeting, one more contract was more important than his daughter's school play, her birthday party, her graduation. He remembered Emma's 8th birthday like it was yesterday. She had begged him to stay home, to watch her blow out the candles with her friends. But William had a client flying in from overseas. He chose the meeting. When he came home at midnight, Emma was asleep on the couch, still wearing her party dress. The birthday cake sat untouched on the table. 8 little candles melted into colorful pools of wax. His wife, Helen, looked at him with tears in her eyes that night. She waited for you until 10 o'clock, William. Then she cried herself to sleep. William knelt beside his sleeping daughter and whispered, "I'm sorry, sweetheart. I promise I'll make it up to you." But he never did. There was always another excuse, another business trip, another reason to put work first. By the time Emma turned 12, Helen filed for divorce. "I can't compete with your ambition," she said, "and I won't let Emma grow up thinking this is what love looks like." After that, William saw Emma less and less. Their relationship became stiff, formal, distant. She would visit on holidays, but the warmth between them had frozen solid. By the time Emma turned 18, she barely spoke to him at all. William also had a son, Daniel, 6 years older than Emma. If his relationship with Emma had grown cold, his relationship with Daniel had completely shattered. Daniel tried working at his father's company for 3 years, but he couldn't take it anymore. "All you care about is money," Daniel had shouted during their last argument. "For years ago, you weren't there when Emma needed you. You weren't there for any of us. You chose buildings over your own children. You don't understand the pressure I'm under." William had fired back. "No, Dad, you don't understand. You traded your family for success, and what do you have now? 2 children who can't stand to be in the same room as you." Those words cut deeper than any business failure ever could. Daniel walked out that day and never came back. They exchanged brief emails on holidays, but that was it. No phone calls, no visits, just silence. Every year on October 14th, the anniversary of Emma's death, William followed a private ritual. He canceled all his meetings, turned off his phone, and drove 2 hours to Riverside Cemetery in the suburbs. Emma's grave sat on a small hill under an old oak tree. William chose that spot because Emma had loved trees as a child. She used to climb the oak tree in their backyard and sit there for hours, reading books and drawing pictures. Her headstone was simple. It read, Emma Rose Hartford, 1989 to 2013. Beloved daughter. She painted the world with her dreams. This was the 10th year, a full decade without his daughter. That morning, William woke up at 4 a.m. and couldn't fall back asleep. Memories of Emma played through his mind like an old movie. Emma as a toddler, laughing his arms. Emma at 10, showing him a painting she made at school. Emma at 18, looking at him with sad, disappointed eyes. At 6 o'clock, William put on a simple black suit, the one Emma once had made him look like a normal dad instead of a businessman. He picked up a single red rose, her favorite flower, and drove to the cemetery alone. He had no idea that today would change his entire life, because on the other side of that hill, standing in front of Emma's grave, was a man William had never met, a working man with worn hands and tired eyes. Next to him stood a small girl, about 9 years old, carefully placing little stones on Emma's headstone. Who were they, and why were they crying at his daughter's grave? William's heart began to pound as he walked closer. The morning sun filtered through the oak leaves, casting dancing shadows on the ground. As he came around a bend in the path, he could hear the man sobbing, deep, broken sobs that came from somewhere far inside. The little girl looked up, and when her eyes met William's, time stopped. Those eyes, he knew those eyes. They were Emma's eyes, the same deep blue color, the same golden flecks around the pupils, the same gentle curve at the corners. William's knees went weak. His hand gripped the oak tree for support. The rose slipped from his fingers and fell to the ground. "Excuse me," William said, his voice shaking. "This is my daughter's grave." "Who are you?" The man turned around, startled. His eyes were red and swollen. He looked to be in his early 30s, with messy brown hair and a face marked by years of hard work and harder grief. "I'm so sorry," the man said quickly, wiping his eyes. "My name is Thomas Bennett. And this—" He placed his hand on the little girl's shoulder. "This is Lily. Why are you here?" William asked, his heart racing faster and faster. "Why are you crying at my daughter's grave?" Thomas took a deep breath. He glanced down at Lily, then back at William. When he spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. "Because Lily is Emma's daughter, your granddaughter." The world tilted. William staggered backward, grabbing the tree trunk to keep from falling. His vision blurred. His ears rang. Those 3 words echoed in his mind like thunder. Your granddaughter. "What?" William breathed. "What did you just say?" "Lily is Emma's child," Thomas repeated, his voice stronger now. "And she's standing right in front of you." William stared at the little girl. She stared back at him with Emma's eyes, wearing a confused expression that was so heartbreakingly familiar it made his chest ache. "Hello," Lily said softly. "Are you sad?" "My dad says people come here when they're sad." William couldn't speak, couldn't breathe, couldn't think. He had a granddaughter. Emma had a child. And he never knew. How? When? Why didn't anyone tell him? 1,000 questions flooded his mind, but only one made it to his lips. "Tell me everything." Thomas and William stood there in the morning light, the silence between them heavy with grief and secrets. Little Lily had wandered a few steps away, collecting small stones from the path, humming a quiet tune to herself. "We should sit," Thomas said, gesturing to a stone bench nearby. William followed, his legs feeling like they might give out at any moment. He sat down heavily, his expensive suit wrinkling against the cold stone. Thomas sat beside him, leaving space between them, the space of strangers who share an impossible connection. "I need you to understand something first," Thomas began, his voice quiet but steady. "I'm not trying to ask you for anything. I didn't come here expecting to meet you. I come here every year on this day because—" His voice cracked. "Because Emma mattered to someone I loved more than my own life." "Who?" William asked. "My best friend. His name was James Parker." Thomas looked down at his calloused hands. James met Emma 11 years ago at an art class in the city. She was 23. He was 25. They fell in love so fast and so deeply that it scared both of them. William listened, his heart breaking with every word. An art class. Emma had taken art classes, and he never even knew. James was a carpenter, Thomas continued. He worked with his hands, built furniture, fixed houses. He didn't have much money, but he had a good heart. And Emma saw that. She didn't care that he wasn't wealthy. She loved him for who he was. Why didn't she tell me? William whispered. Why didn't I know? Thomas looked at him, and in his eyes was something between pity and understanding. Because she was afraid. James told me that Emma talked about you sometimes. She said her father had planned for her, big plans, important plans. She didn't think you would accept a carpenter. She didn't think she would fit into your world if she chose to stay in hers. The words hit William like physical blows. I would have accepted anyone who made her happy. Would you have? Thomas asked gently. Or would you have tried to change her mind? Would you have pushed her towards someone more suitable? Someone from your world. William opened his mouth to protest, but the words died in his throat, because deep down he knew the truth. 10 years ago, he probably would have done exactly that. He would have seen James as beneath his daughter. He would have tried to steer her towards someone with wealth, status, connections. The realization made him sick. They were so happy together, Thomas said, a sad smile crossing his face. James built Emma a bookshelf for her birthday. She painted murals on the walls of his tiny apartment, forests and oceans and starry skies. They talked about getting married, moving somewhere quiet, raising a family. She was pregnant, William said, looking over at Lily, who was now stacking stones into a small tower. Yes, Emma found out she was pregnant 2 months before. Thomas couldn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. William remembered that night. The phone call at 2 a.m. The longest flight of his life. The hospital. The white sheet covering his daughter's cold body. There was a car accident, Thomas said, his voice hollow. Emma and my sister Jessica were driving back from an art exhibition in the city. It was raining. The roads were slick. Jessica lost control of the car. Your sister? She was driving, Thomas said, and now tears filled his eyes. She and Emma were best friends. They died together. William felt the weight of Thomas's grief pressing down on both of them. 2 sisters, in a way. 2 families destroyed on the same rainy night. James was devastated. Thomas continued. He was supposed to go with them that night, but he had the flu. Emma wanted to stay home with him, but she also wanted to support Jessica at her first art show. So she went. He wiped his eyes. James blamed himself every single day after that. What happened to him? William asked, though part of him already knew the answer wouldn't be good. For the first few weeks, James couldn't get out of bed. I stayed with him, made sure he ate, made sure he didn't give up. All he did was cry. He kept saying, it should have been me. I should have been there. William understood that feeling too well. How many times had he thought the same thing? If only he'd been a better father. If only he'd been there for Emma. If only he'd paid attention. But then Lily was born, Thomas said, and his expression softened. 2 weeks after Emma died, James became a father. And suddenly he had a reason to keep living. He raised her, William asked, for 3 years. James was the most devoted father I've ever seen. He learned everything. How to change diapers, how to make bottles, how to rock her to sleep at 3 a.m. He turned his workshop into a home. He worked night shifts so he could spend his days with Lily. He read to her, sang to her, showed her pictures of Emma every single day so she would know her mother. William watched Lily playing near the grave, and his heart ached with a grief he didn't know how to name. This child had been raised by a man who loved her mother deeply, a man who had been there in all the ways William had failed to be. What happened? William asked quietly. Thomas was silent for a long moment. When Lily was 3 years old, James had an accident at a construction site. A beam fell. He died instantly. Oh, God, William whispered. James had made me Lily's legal guardian, Thomas said. He had no other family. His parents had passed years before. So I took her in. I've been raising her for the past 6 years. Did you try to contact me? William asked. Yes. Thomas pulled an old envelope from his jacket pocket. 3 times I called your office after James died. Left messages. Said it was urgent. About Emma. No one ever called back. William felt shame wash over him. How many calls had his assistant screened? How many messages had they deemed not important enough for him to bother with? I'm sorry, William said, and meant it. I'm so sorry. Thomas handed him the envelope. This is a letter Emma wrote. James kept it. I think you should read it. With shaking hands, William opened the envelope and unfolded the paper inside. Emma's handwriting, small and careful, filled the page. Dear Rachel, I'm pregnant. James and I are having a baby. I'm so happy I could cry, but I'm also terrified. I haven't told my father. He won't accept James. Not because James isn't good enough. He's more than enough. He's everything I need. But Dad won't see that. Dad only sees money and status and business connections. James and I have decided that after the baby is born, we'll leave Chicago. Maybe move to Wisconsin or Minnesota. Somewhere quiet where I can paint and James can work with wood, and we can just be happy. I know it means being far from family, and part of me is sad about that. I used to think that one day Dad would change, that he would see what really matters. But I can't wait forever. I can't put my life on hold, hoping he'll finally show up. If Dad ever asks about me, tell him I'm okay. Tell him I'm happy. And maybe one day when the baby is older, I'll give him a chance to be a grandfather. Everyone deserves a second chance, right? Love, Emma. By the time William finished reading, tears were streaming down his face. His daughter had been happy. She had been planning a beautiful life. And she had even considered giving him another chance, a chance he never got because she died before she could reach out. She loved you, Thomas said quietly. Even though you hurt her, even though you weren't there, she still loved you. James told me that. William couldn't speak. His throat was too tight, his chest too heavy. Mister? A small voice broke through his grief. William looked up. Lily was standing in front of him, her head tilted to one side, her blue eyes, Emma's eyes, studying him with curiosity. Are you my grandpa? She asked. The question was so simple, so innocent, so direct. William looked at this child, this piece of Emma that still existed in the world, and felt something crack open inside his chest. Yes, he whispered. Yes, I'm your grandfather. Lily thought about this for a moment. Then she held out her hand, showing him a smooth pink stone. This is rare, she said seriously. Do you want to help me build a tower for my mommy? William looked at the stone in her small palm. Then he looked at Thomas, who nodded encouragingly. And slowly, carefully, William reached out and took the stone. I would love to, he said, his voice breaking. I would love to help you. In the days after meeting Lily at the cemetery, William couldn't think about anything else. He sat in his penthouse office, overlooking the Chicago skyline, but he didn't see the buildings. He saw Lily's face. He saw Emma's eyes looking back at him. He hired a private investigator, not because he doubted Thomas, but because he needed to understand the full picture. The report came back 3 days later, confirming everything Thomas had said. Thomas Bennett, 31 years old, worked as a groundskeeper at Riverside Cemetery. Before that, he'd been an electrician. He lived with Lily in a small 2-bedroom apartment on the south side of the city. His yearly income was around $40,000, barely enough to get by in Chicago. But the report also showed something else. Thomas paid his bills on time, never missed rent, and according to neighbors, was a devoted father to Lily. William also found newspaper articles about the accident that killed Emma and Jessica, and another article, 3 years later, about James Parker, 28 years old, killed at a construction site, leaving behind a 3-year-old daughter. Every detail matched Thomas's story. Every piece of the puzzle fit. But knowing the truth didn't make it easier. If anything, it made the pain worse. William had a granddaughter, a living, breathing piece of Emma, and he'd missed 9 years of her life. A week after their first meeting, William returned to the cemetery. This time, he wasn't going to Emma's grave. He was looking for Thomas. He found him in the older section, trimming bushes around weather headstones. Thomas was wearing work clothes, faded jeans, a flannel shirt, leather gloves. His hair was tied back in a small ponytail. "Mr. Hartford," Thomas said, surprised. "I didn't expect to see you again so soon. Please call me William." He paused, feeling awkward. "Do you have a few minutes to talk?" Thomas glanced at his watch. "I'm on break. There's a bench over there." They sat down under a large maple tree, its leaves turning gold in the autumn air. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then William took a breath. "I had your story checked," he said. "Not because I didn't believe you, but because I needed to be sure. I needed to know this wasn't a dream." Thomas nodded slowly. "I understand. Lily really is my granddaughter," William continued, and his voice cracked on the words. "Emma's child. And I've missed 9 years of her life." "Not entirely," Thomas said gently. "You haven't missed everything. You can still be part of her future, if you want to be." "I do," William said urgently. "More than anything. But I don't know how. I failed with Emma. I failed with Daniel. I don't know how to be a good grandfather. I don't know how to show up for people." Thomas looked at him for a long moment. "The first step is admitting that. You just did. The second step is deciding you'll do things differently. The third step is showing up over and over again, even when it's hard." "I want to see Lily again," William said. "Not at the cemetery. Somewhere she feels comfortable. Would you let me?" Thomas was quiet, thinking, "I have to do what's best for Lily. She's been through so much already. Lost her mother before she even knew her. Lost her father when she was 3. I won't let her get hurt again." "I understand," William nodded. "I won't pressure you. I'm just asking you to think about it. I want to know her. I want to be part of her life, if she'll let me." Thomas studied William's face, searching for something, sincerity maybe, or commitment. Finally, he said, "I'll talk to Lily. I'll see how she feels. If she wants to meet you, we'll arrange it, but on her terms, at her pace." "Thank you," William exhaled. "That's all I can ask for." 3 days later, William's phone rang from a number he didn't recognize. "I talked to Lily." Thomas's voice came through. "She's curious about you. She asked what you look like, what you do, and why you're only showing up now." William's heart pounded. "What did you tell her?" "The truth, but gently. I explained that sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, and sometimes it takes a long time to fix them." "What did she say?" "She wants to meet you, but she chose the place. Lincoln Park, near the playground. It's where we usually go on Saturdays. Open space makes her feel safe." "When?" William asked. "This Saturday. 10 in the morning. Does that work?" "I'll be there," William said immediately. On Saturday morning, William woke up at 5. He couldn't sleep. His stomach was twisted with nerves and fear and hope all tangled together. He looked through his closet 3 times, trying to decide what to wear. Finally, he chose jeans and a simple sweater, trying to look as normal, as approachable as possible. At 9:30, he drove to Lincoln Park. The autumn day was beautiful, the trees blazing with color, families walking dogs and pushing strollers along the paths. Children's laughter echoed from the playground. William found the playground Thomas had described. Near the swings, he saw them, Thomas and Lily. Lily was on a swing, pumping her legs, her brown curly hair flying behind her. She wore a purple jacket and bright pink sneakers. Thomas saw William and waved. Lily noticed and dragged her feet on the ground to stop the swing. William walked over, his heart beating so hard he could hear in his ears. "Hi, Lily," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "Do you remember me?" Lily nodded, looking up at him with those serious blue eyes. "You're my grandpa." "That's right," William said, kneeling down so he was at her level. "And I'm very happy to see you again." "Dad says you want to spend time with me," Lily said, tilting her head. "Why?" The direct question caught William off guard. He glanced at Thomas, who just gave him an encouraging nod. "This is your moment to be honest." "Because I loved your mom very much," William said carefully. "And when I found out about you, I wanted to get to know you, because you're a part of her, and you're also a part of me." Lily thought about this, her small face serious. Did you miss my mom? Every single day, William said, his throat tight. Me too, Lily said softly, even though I never met her. Dad shows me pictures and tells me stories. He says I have her eyes. You do, William whispered. You have your mother's beautiful eyes. Lily seemed satisfied with this answer. Will you push me on the swing? Such a simple request, but to William, it felt like she was offering him the world. I would love to, he said. For the next hour, William pushed Lily on the swing. They walked together, Lily skipping ahead to collect fallen leaves in different colors. They stopped at a small cafe where William bought hot chocolate and cookies. They sat on a bench, watching ducks swim the pond. What do you do for work? Lily asked, swinging her legs and licking chocolate from her fingers. I build buildings, William said. Big ones. So you're rich. William smiled sadly. I have a lot of money, yes. Does money make you happy? The question, so innocent from a 9-year-old, struck deep. No, William answered honestly. Money doesn't make people truly happy. Being with people you love, that's what makes you happy. Lily nodded like this was obvious. I love my dad, she said, pointing at Thomas, who was sitting nearby giving him space. And he loves me. He does, William agreed. Very much. As the afternoon sun began to sink lower, William knew it was time to let them go. But before they left, he gathered his courage. Thomas, Lily, he said, I was wondering if maybe one day soon you might come visit my home. I have some things that belong to Emma, paintings she made, photographs, little things I think Lily might want to see. Thomas looked at Lily. What do you think, sweetheart? I want to see my mom's paintings, Lily said, her eyes lighting up. Okay, Thomas agreed, though William could see the hesitation in his eyes. But you have to understand, Lily isn't used to places like where you live. I don't want her to feel overwhelmed. I understand, William promised. I'll be careful. They agreed on the following weekend. As Thomas and Lily were getting ready to leave, Lily suddenly ran back to William and hugged him. A quick, tight hug that made William's chest ache with joy. Bye, Grandpa William, she said. Then she ran off after Thomas, her pink sneakers flashing in the afternoon light. William stood there, his arms still tingling from the hug, his heart full for the first time in 10 years. Grandpa William. He had been given a second chance. And this time he wouldn't waste it. The following Saturday, Thomas and Lily arrived at William's building. A driver met them at the entrance and took them up in the private elevator. When the doors opened directly into the penthouse, Lily's eyes went wide. Whoa, she breathed. The apartment was enormous. Floor-to-ceiling windows looked out over all of Chicago. Modern furniture filled the open space. Everything was sleek, expensive, perfect. This place is bigger than my whole building, Lily whispered to Thomas. Thomas looked uncomfortable, his eyes taking in the luxury with a mixture of awe and unease. William noticed and suddenly felt embarrassed. This was his world. Cold, beautiful, empty, so different from the warm, small apartment where Lily had grown up. Make yourselves a home, William said, though the words felt awkward in this setting. He led them to his study, where Emma's paintings hung on the walls. There was a watercolor lake surrounded by rolling hills, the sunset painted in soft oranges and pinks. Your mom painted this when she was 19, William said quietly. She always dreamed of living near a lake like this. My mom painted that. Lily's eyes were huge. It's so pretty. There was also a pencil sketch, a sleeping baby. In the margin, Emma had written, For my child one day. Lily stared at it. Is that me? William knelt beside her. I think it is. Your mom was dreaming about you before you were born. My mom dreamed about me, Lily whispered, reaching out to gently touch the glass. William brought out a large box filled with Emma's things. Photographs of her as a little girl, her journals from high school, a small necklace with a silver bird pendant. These belong to your mom, William said, and I want you to have them. Lily held the necklace carefully, like it might break. Thomas helped her put it on. She touched the small bird, smiling through tears she was too young to fully understand. While Lily looked through photographs, Thomas walked a window, staring out at the city below. William joined him. "I never thought I'd stand in a place like this," Thomas said quietly. "Feels like a different world." "It is a different world," William admitted. "And for a long time, it was the only world I knew. But it's empty, Thomas. All of this," he gestured around the luxurious apartment, "means nothing if there's no one to share it with." Thomas turned to look at him. "So why change now, after all these years?" "Because meeting Lily showed me what I really lost. Not just Emma, but the chance to have a real family. I don't want to waste any more time. Lily deserves better than a grandfather who shows up because he feels guilty," Thomas said bluntly. "You're right," William replied without hesitation. "It's not just guilt, it's love. I love my daughter. I just didn't know how to show it. And I love Lily already because she's part of Emma and because she deserves to know she has family." Thomas studied him for a long moment. "It won't be easy. Trust takes time. And Lily, I've kept her away from this world for a reason. I don't want money and privilege to change who she is." "I don't want that either," William said. "I just want to be present." From that day forward, William visited them every weekend, sometimes at the park, sometimes at their small apartment. He brought small, thoughtful gifts, a watercolor set when he learned Lily loved to paint, a book about stars when she mentioned she liked looking at the night sky, a warm scarf when winter started to arrive. But more than gifts, William brought himself. He learned to listen, really listen, when Lily talked about school, her friends, her dreams. He sat on the floor building towers out of blocks. He watched her favorite cartoons. He helped her with homework. One afternoon, Lily asked, "Did you know things about my mom when she was little?" William smiled, remembering. "When your mom was 6, she painted butterflies and flowers all over her bedroom wall. I was so angry." He laughed, and she just laughed and said, "Now you have free art, Daddy." Lily giggled, her whole face lighting up. "My mom sounds fun." "She was," William said, his smile fading. "I just wish I'd spent more time seeing that." But not everything was easy. Some days, Lily asked questions that William didn't know how to answer. "Why didn't you come see my mom when she was still alive?" Lily asked one afternoon. The apartment went quiet. Thomas froze in the kitchen, but he didn't step in. This was William's question to answer. William was silent for a long time. Finally, he said, "I was wrong, Lily. I thought work was more important than family. I thought money and success would make me happy. By the time I realized the truth, your mom was gone." "Were you sad?" "Every day," William admitted. "But being with you makes me feel closer to her. You have her smile, her kindness, her gentle heart." Lily thought about this. Then she climbed onto the couch and leaned her head against his shoulder. "You can be sad," she said, "but you're not alone, because now you have me." Those simple words broke something open inside William. He held his granddaughter close and let the tears fall. William gradually learned about Thomas and Lily's life. Difficult, but full of love. He saw Thomas juggling bills, taking extra weekend shifts so Lily could have warm clothes and enough food. He saw their dinners, simple pasta, soup, sandwiches, always with Lily eating first, Thomas eating whatever was left. One evening, William brought over expensive takeout from an Italian restaurant. The look on Thomas's face, grateful but tense, told William he'd made a mistake. "I'm sorry," William said quickly. "I just wanted to help with dinner." "I know you mean well," Thomas sighed, "but we don't need charity. We're okay. Not much, but we have each other." "I don't see it as charity," William said. "I see it as sharing a meal, as family. But next time, I'll ask first." Thomas looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "Thank you." They had dinner together, fancy Italian food on old, mismatched plates. The apartment was warm with conversation, with laughter, with Lily chattering about school and the stray cat she'd seen in the alley. It was these ordinary moments that showed William what he'd been missing his whole life. As winter arrived, William took Lily ice skating at the outdoor rink in Lincoln Park. "I've never skated before." Lily's eyes sparkled with excitement. William, who'd learned to skate as a child at expensive private rinks, found himself in an unfamiliar role, teacher. He held her hand, guiding her step by step. Bend your knees a little. Push out with your foot. Yes, just like that. Lily fell constantly, but she laughed every time she got up. Thomas fell even more, making Lily laugh so hard she had to sit down on the ice. "Dad looks like a baby penguin," she shrieked. By the end of the afternoon, Lily could skate on her own, and Thomas could at least stay upright. They warmed their frozen hands with hot chocolate from a nearby stand, their cheeks red from cold and happiness. "Today is the best day ever," Lily announced, chocolate on her upper lip. William looked at her, his heart full. This was what family meant. Not money or gifts, but time, presence, love. One night, after Lily had gone to bed, Thomas made tea for himself and William. They sat at the small kitchen table. "Thank you," William said quietly, "for giving me this chance, for trusting me with Lily." "Don't thank me yet," Thomas smiled faintly. "You're still on probation." "I know," William said, "and I'll keep trying, every day." Thomas looked down at his tea. "Honestly, when I first saw you at the cemetery, I thought you were just another rich guy who'd try to buy his way into Lily's life. And now you surprise me. You show up consistently. You listen. You try to understand our life instead of forcing it to fit yours. That's worth more than any amount of money." William was quiet, moved by the simple compliment. "James, he was a good father, wasn't he?" William asked softly. "The best," Thomas said, his voice thick with emotion. "He loved Lily more than anything in this world, and he would want her to know you, to know her family. Do you think James would accept me?" William asked. Thomas thought for a moment. At first, he'd probably be cautious. But if he saw that you truly love Lily, that you're working to be better, yes, I think he would. As Christmas approached, William invited Thomas and Lily to his penthouse for dinner. Thomas hesitated. He always did with William's grand gestures. But Lily was so excited that he couldn't say no. William hired a chef but requested something simple and warm. Roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, vegetables, apple pie. Nothing extravagant. Just comfort food. He decorated the apartment simply too. A Christmas tree, some lights, soft music playing. For gifts, William chose carefully. For Lily, a real wooden easel and a professional set of paints. To encourage her love of art, just like her mother. For Thomas, a good winter coat. Not flashy or expensive looking, but warm and durable. William had noticed a tear in Thomas's old jacket. On Christmas Eve, when they arrived, Lily gasped at the sight of the tree. "It's so beautiful." They sat down to dinner, and for the first time in years, William's penthouse felt like a home. There was laughter, stories, a feeling of belonging that no amount of money could buy. When it was time for gifts, Lily threw her arms around William when she saw the easel. "Grandpa, it's perfect. Now I can paint just like my mom." Thomas opened his gift and looked at the coat. William saw gratitude flash across his face, maybe a little relief. His old coat had been falling apart, and perhaps a bit more acceptance. "Thank you," Thomas said simply. "Really, thank you." Then Lily handed William a package wrapped in newspaper and tape, clearly done by her own small hands. Inside was a painting she'd made. It showed 3 people, William, Thomas, and Lily, standing in front of a gravestone under a tree. Above them, the sky was full of stars, and among those stars was a woman with long hair, smiling down at them. "That's my mom," Lily whispered, pointing. "I think she's watching us from heaven. I think she's happy we found each other." William couldn't speak. His vision blurred with tears. He pulled Lily into his arms and held her tight. "Thank you," he finally whispered. "This is the most beautiful gift I've ever received." But even as William's relationship with Lily deepened, there was still one broken bridge he hadn't tried to repair. His son, Daniel, for years of silence, for years of hurt and distance. William knew he couldn't move forward with Lily while leaving Daniel behind. His son deserved to know about his niece, and Lily deserved to know her uncle. One evening, William's hand shook as he picked up the phone and dialed Daniel's number. "Daniel, it's Dad." A long pause. "I know. Your name shows up." Can we talk? About what? About family, about Emma, and about your niece. Another pause, longer this time. What? Please, meet me tomorrow. I'll explain everything. They agreed to meet at a quiet coffee shop, far from both William's world and Daniel's. The next morning, William arrived early, his stomach churning with nerves. When Daniel walked in, William barely recognized him. His son was 36 now, with touches of gray at his temples. He wore a simple sweater and jeans and carried himself with quiet confidence, a successful architect who'd built a career on his own terms. Dad. Daniel nodded, sitting down across from him. Daniel, thank you for coming. You look well. You look older, Daniel said, not unkindly, just honest. Time doesn't stop. William tried to smile. They ordered coffee. Silence settled between them like a familiar, uncomfortable guest. So, Daniel said finally, you said something about a niece? William took a deep breath and told him everything. The cemetery, Thomas, Lily, the fact that Emma had a daughter their family never knew about. Daniel listened, his face barely moving. When William finished, he sat in silence for what felt like forever. Emma had a daughter, Daniel finally said, his voice shaking. How long have you known? 3 months. And you're only telling me now? There was anger beneath his words. I'm sorry. I needed time to understand it myself, to start building a relationship with her. I was afraid I'd ruin everything if I rushed. Daniel let out a bitter laugh. Right. The same way you always do. Make decisions alone. Shut everyone out. Act like you're the only one who matters. You're right, William said quietly. I handled this wrong. Just like I've handled everything wrong with you and Emma. Daniel stared at him. Do you know what the hardest part growing up as your son was? William shook his head, though his heart already hurt from what was coming. It wasn't the money. It wasn't the big house or the fancy schools. It was that I had everything except you. You were never there. Not for my games, not for my graduation, not when I needed advice or just wanted my father to be proud of me. I was proud, William started. You sent a watch for my 18th birthday, Daniel interrupted, his voice cracking. A Rolex. From Singapore. I didn't need a watch, Dad. I needed you. William's eyes filled with tears. I know, and I'm sorry. Emma called me a few months before she died. Daniel continued, wiping his eyes. She was crying. She said she'd met someone, that she was in love, but she was scared to tell you. I told her to live her own life and be happy. Then she died, and I never got to know if she found that happiness. She did, William said, his voice breaking. She loved James. They were going to get married, have a family. She was happy, Daniel. They sat there, 2 men crying quietly in the middle of a crowded coffee shop. People glanced over, but neither of them cared. Do you want to meet Lily? William asked softly. Daniel wiped his face. Does she know about me? She knows she has an uncle. I told her you're an architect, that you design beautiful buildings. She was excited to hear about you. Did you tell her we don't talk? No. I didn't want her to think family was just broken and sad. Daniel sighed deeply. Sometimes family is messy, Dad. Maybe that's something she should know, too. You're right, William admitted, but it can also heal, if we both try. Daniel looked at his father for a long time. I'm not promising forgiveness. Not yet. I'm still angry about a lot of things. But I want to meet her. She's my niece. She's family. That's all I could hope for, William said, relief washing over him. They chose a safe, fun place for the first meeting, the Chicago Children's Museum. When Daniel arrived, Lily was in the art section, drawing a giant dinosaur on a huge piece of paper. Lily, William called gently, there's someone I want you to meet. She looked up, her eyes curious, glancing between William and this new man. This is your Uncle Daniel, William said. My son, your uncle. Lily's whole face lit up. You're the one who builds buildings. Daniel crouched down to her level, a smile spreading across his face. That's right. And you must be Lily. I've heard so much about you. Really? From who? From your grandpa, Daniel said, glancing up at William. Grandpa says you're really smart and make beautiful things, Lily said excitedly. I'm trying, Daniel laughed. Do you like drawing? I love it. My mom drew too. Dad says I draw just like her. Something flickered across Daniel's face. Sadness and tenderness mixed together. Your mom, Aunt Emma, used to draw the most amazing things. Dragons and castles and spaceships. She'd make up stories about them just for me. Really? Can you tell me the stories? I'd love to. Lily grabbed his hand and pulled him over to her drawing, chattering away about colors and dinosaurs, and whether T-Rexes could actually see you if you stood still. William and Thomas watched from a distance. He's good with her, Thomas observed. Daniel has always been gentle, William said softly. He used to take care of Emma when they were little. He'll be a wonderful uncle. After the museum, they all went for pizza. Lily sat between the two men, talking nonstop about everything she'd seen. I built a skyscraper out of blocks, she announced proudly. Not as tall as Grandpa's buildings, but pretty good. I'm sure it was amazing, Daniel said, smiling genuinely for the first time in years. When it was time to leave, Lily hugged Daniel tight. Will you come visit again? Daniel looked at her, then at William. Yes, I promise I will. Thomas walked ahead with Lily, leaving Daniel and William alone on the sidewalk. The cold December wind swirled around them. She's special, Daniel said quietly. Yes, William agreed. She is. You're really trying, aren't you? With her. I'm trying not to repeat the mistakes I made with you and Emma. Daniel was quiet for a moment. That doesn't erase the past, Dad. I know, but it's a start, isn't it? Daniel nodded slowly. Yeah, it's a start. He turned to go, then stopped. Dad, I'm not saying everything is okay between us, but I want to try, for Lily's sake, and maybe for ours too. Thank you, William whispered, hope blooming in his chest. That's all I'm asking for. As winter melted into spring, William began to notice the strain in Thomas's life more clearly. The man was exhausted, with premature gray streaking his brown hair despite being only 31. Sometimes in the middle of conversations, Thomas would step into the hallway to take phone calls, his voice tight and worried. One afternoon when William stopped by the apartment, Lily was still at school. He found Thomas sitting at the kitchen table surrounded by bills. His head was in his hands. Thomas. William called gently from the doorway. Thomas looked up, his eyes red. I don't know what to do anymore. What's wrong? Everything. Thomas gestured at the papers. Rent went up again. Lily needs new shoes. She's growing so fast. The heater broke, and the landlord says I have to fix it myself. And the cemetery cut my hours because of budget problems. William sat down beside him, looking at the numbers. The total wasn't massive by his standards, maybe $3,000, but with Thomas's income, it might as well have been a mountain. Let me help, William said simply. No. Thomas's answer was immediate. I don't want charity. It's not charity, Thomas. It's family helping family. I don't want to owe you. Then consider a loan. Pay me back when things settle. But right now, don't let these bills crush you. Lily needs you healthy and present, not drowning in stress. Thomas stared at the papers, pride and practicality warring in his eyes. I'll think about it. But William didn't wait for permission. He couldn't watch this good man struggle when he had the means to help. A few days later, he quietly arranged for 6 months of rent to be paid through an anonymous program. He had the building's maintenance fund cover the heater repair, and he made a phone call to an old friend who managed Riverside Cemetery. I'm not asking for special treatment, William said carefully. But if there are any positions with better pay that match Thomas Bennett's skills, I think he'd be a strong candidate. His friend, who already valued Thomas's work, agreed to offer him an interview for a maintenance coordinator position, a mix of field work and administration, with an $8,000 annual raise. When Thomas received the interview invitation, he immediately called William, suspicion in his voice. Did you have anything to do with this? I told them you're reliable and good at your job, William answered honestly. The decision is theirs. You still have to interview and prove yourself. Why are you doing this? Because Lily needs a stable home. Because you deserve not to worry about rent every month. And because we're friends now, Thomas. Friends help each other. The doubt in Thomas's eyes softened. If I get this job, it's because I earned it, not because of your money. That's exactly what I'm counting on. A week later, Thomas got the job based on his own merit, his years of experience, and his steady, capable work. When he called to tell William, his voice was thick with emotion and relief. Thank you, he said simply, for believing I could do it. But even as some problems eased, others emerged. In February, Lily's teacher called both Thomas and William in for a meeting. Miss Rodriguez, a kind woman with gentle eyes, explained her concern. Lily is a wonderful student, she said. Creative, kind, smart, but recently she's changed. She sits alone at recess. She's withdrawn. She still does her work, but without joy, as if she's just going through the motions. William felt something twist in his stomach. Had his presence somehow hurt her? Has she said anything? Thomas asked, gripping the chair. When I ask, she says she's fine, but my instincts tell me otherwise. That evening, the three of them sat together at the kitchen table. Thomas had made Lily's favorite dinner, macaroni and cheese, but she just pushed it around her plate. Sweetheart, Thomas began gently, your grandpa and I talked to Miss Rodriguez today. Lily looked down at her plate. I know. You've been sad, William said softly, and we want to help. But we need you to tell us what's wrong. For a long time, Lily was silent. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, she said, the kids at school ask questions. What kind of questions? Thomas asked. They ask why I have two dads. Why sometimes Grandpa picks me up, and why you're my dad if you're not Grandpa's son. And I don't know what to say. I try to explain, but then they ask more questions, and I just... Her voice broke. I just want to be normal. I want to have a mom and a dad like everyone else. I want things to not be so complicated. William's heart shattered. In his effort to be part of her life, he'd made things harder for her. I'm sorry, he said, his voice shaking, if my being here made things worse. No. Lily looked up quickly, tears on her cheeks. I don't want you to leave. I like having you. It's just, sometimes I wish everything was simpler. They talked for a long time that night. Thomas explained that families come in all shapes. Some kids have one parent. Some have two. Some live with grandparents or aunts or uncles or guardians. There's no right or wrong way to be a family, Thomas said gently. And I think our family is pretty wonderful, William added with a smile. It's full of people who love you. Lily thought about this. So I can tell my friend my family is special? Exactly, Thomas said, pulling her into a hug. They also talked to the school counselor and Miss Rodriguez about incorporating lessons on different family structures. Slowly, with support and openness, Lily began to brighten again. She started playing with friends at recess. Her artwork regained its color and joy. Meanwhile, William and Daniel continued their slow journey toward healing. They met for dinner once a month. The conversations were awkward at first, full of pauses and careful words. But gradually, they became more natural. Daniel talked about his work, designs for community centers and affordable housing, projects that serve people rather than just impressing them. I always wanted to do this, Daniel said one evening. Create spaces people actually live in, not just occupy. That's admirable, William replied, and meant it. I'm sorry if I ever made you feel like your work was less important. You did, Daniel said without anger, just honesty. But I found my own path anyway, and I'm proud of what I built. I'm proud of you too, William said, his voice thick. I should have said that years ago. A genuine smile crossed Daniel's face. Thanks, Dad. That actually means a lot. Daniel also started spending more time with Lily. He brought her to his architecture studio, showed her building models, explained how structures were designed with light and air and space for people to feel comfortable. Can I design something? Lily asked eagerly. Of course, Daniel said, handing her paper and pencils. Let's design a treehouse. A really special one. From then on, they had a monthly project. Lily would sketch ideas, and Daniel would show her how to turn those ideas into actual plans. The silk thread connecting uncle and niece grew stronger with each visit. In March, something unexpected happened. A woman appeared at Thomas's door, tall, with auburn hair and sharp green eyes, wearing an expensive coat. "I'm Helen Hartford," she said. "William's ex-wife, Emma's mother, and I have a right to meet my granddaughter." Thomas froze. "You should talk to William first." "I tried. He hasn't answered my calls." "Is Lily home?" "She's at school, and I can't let you see her without talking to William first. This needs to be done carefully." Helen studied him for a long moment. "Fine, but I won't be pushed aside. Emma was my daughter. Lily is my family, too." That evening, William met Helen at a quiet restaurant. They hadn't spoken in person in over a year. "Why didn't you tell me?" Helen demanded the moment they sat down. "About Lily?" "Because I only found out 4 months ago myself," William said. "I've been trying to understand, to build a relationship carefully." "And what about me?" Helen's voice cracked. "Emma was my daughter, too. Lily is my granddaughter. We've been divorced for 15 years, but that doesn't mean I don't matter." William softened. "You're right. I should have told you sooner. I'm sorry." "I want to meet her," Helen said quietly. "Please don't take this away from me. I lost Emma. Don't let me lose my grandchild, too." William looked at the woman who'd once been his partner, who'd loved Emma just as much as he had. "All right," he said, "but we have to be careful. Lily's been through so many changes. We need to do this slowly." "I understand. I just want to know her." A few weeks later, they arranged a meeting at Lincoln Park. William, Thomas, Lily, and Daniel were all there. When Helen approached, Lily instinctively moved closer to Thomas. Helen knelt down, her eyes brimming with tears. "Hello, sweetheart. My name is Helen. I'm your mother's mother, your grandmother." Lily looked at Thomas, saw him nod encouragingly, then turned back to Helen. "Do you look like my mom?" "People used to say so." Helen smiled through her tears. "Your mom had hair like mine, and you have your mother's beautiful eyes." For an hour, they talked. Helen showed Lily photographs of Emma as a child, told stories, answered Lily's endless questions about her mother. When it was time to leave, Lily hugged Helen. "Will you come visit again?" Lily asked. "I promise," Helen whispered. Helen's arrival added another layer to their complicated family. She and William had to learn how to exist in the same space, not as a couple, but as two grandparents who loved the same child. It wasn't always easy. They disagreed about boundaries, about gifts, about schedules, but both were committed to doing what was best for Lily, and that commitment guided them through the friction. Daniel, for his part, was glad to have his mother back in his life. The two of them began meeting regularly, healing old wounds, filling in the silent spaces that had existed between them for years. "I'm really glad she's here," Daniel told William one evening. "Lily deserves to know both her grandmothers." "You're right," William said. "I should have thought of that sooner." Finally, October came again, 12 years since Emma's death. But this year, William didn't go to the cemetery alone. The whole family came with him. William, Daniel, Helen, Thomas, and Lily. They walked together, not perfect but united, to honor Emma. The day was warm, with golden sunlight spilling across the headstone. Each person brought something. William brought a red rose, as he had for 11 years. Daniel brought a letter he'd written, full of words he'd never said aloud. Helen brought the scarf Emma had loved. Thomas brought a photo of Emma and James laughing together. And Lily brought a drawing. In her picture, their whole family stood together under the oak tree, holding hands. Above them in the sky, she'd drawn a woman with long hair, smiling down at them all. "This is my mom," Lily said softly. "She's always watching us. I can feel it." They stood in a circle, holding hands. William read Emma's favorite poem. Daniel shared memories. Helen cried quietly, and William took her hand, the first time they'd touched in over a decade. Thomas bowed his head. Emma, he said softly. You brought so much light into James's life. And through Lily, that light continues. Thank you. Then Lily's small voice followed. Mom, I don't remember you, but I hear so many stories about you. I know you love me because I feel it every day. And I think you're happy that we all found each other. After the memorial, they drove to a surprise William had been planning for months. As they pulled up to a lake house in Wisconsin, surrounded by rolling hills, with a dock extending into calm blue water, Lily gasped. It looks like the painting, she said. The one Mom made. William smiled. Exactly. I bought this place for us. A home where our family can gather, where you can grow up around nature, where we can make new memories together. They explored the house. There was a bedroom for Lily, painted soft purple, with windows overlooking the water. A room for Thomas. Rooms for Daniel and Helen when they visited. And a sunlit studio where Lily could paint just like her mother. It's beautiful, Daniel whispered, standing on the dock. Emma would have loved it, Helen murmured. That's what I wanted, William said, to keep her dream alive. They stayed the whole weekend. On the first morning, William taught Lily how to fish. They sat on the dock, legs dangling over the water. Grandpa... Lily asked, Do you think my mom is watching? William looked up at the endless blue sky. I'm sure of it, and I think she's smiling, seeing all of us here together. Do you think she's proud of me? More than anything, William said, his voice breaking. You're everything she ever hoped for. Lily rested her head on his shoulder. I love you, Grandpa William. I love you too, sweetheart. That afternoon, the whole family made dinner together, chaotic, loud, full of laughter. Daniel chopped vegetables. Helen made dessert. Thomas grilled chicken. William managed the potatoes, which burned a little. You really can't cook, can you? Daniel teased. Not at all, William laughed. But at least I'm trying. They ate on the porch as the sun set, painting the sky in oranges and pinks and purples, just like Emma used to paint. To Emma, William said, raising his glass. To Emma, they all echoed. When night fell, William sat alone on the dock. The lake was perfectly still, reflecting 1,000 stars. Thomas appeared with 2 cups of tea and sat beside him. Lily's happy, Thomas said after a while. She has a family now, a real home. You made that happen. Not just me, William replied. All of us, together. When I first met you at the cemetery, Thomas said quietly, I thought you were just another rich man trying to buy his way into someone's life. And now I see someone who learned to listen, who changed. That's not easy, especially at your age. I had to change, William said. For Lily, for Daniel, and for Emma, even though it's too late. It's not too late, Thomas said gently. She's still watching, and I think she's proud of you. William looked up at the stars, a tear sliding down his cheek, not from grief this time, but from something that felt like forgiveness, like peace. Thank you, Emma, he whispered, for teaching me how to love again, how to come home. As the stars blazed overhead and the lake whispered against the shore, William Hartford finally understood the truth. It's never too late to change, never too late to love, never too late to come home to the people who matter most. Family isn't defined by perfection. It's not about avoiding mistakes or having all the answers. Family is built by showing up day after day, even when it's hard. It's built by listening, by being present, by choosing love over pride. The people we love, even when they're gone, never truly disappear. They live on in our memories, in the goodness they left behind, in the love that travels through generations. Emma once dreamed of a lake house filled with laughter, of a family bound by tenderness, of a life woven with art and joy. She didn't live to see it herself, but her dream came true in Lily, the girl with her eyes, in William, the father who lost his way but found the road home, in all of them, imperfect and broken and healing together. William, who once had everything yet felt he had nothing, finally found what truly mattered, a family, a purpose, a place to belong. And in the end, that was worth more than every building, every dollar, every success he'd ever achieved. If this story touched your heart, remember, it's never too late to reach out to the people you love. It's never too late to say you're sorry. It's never too late to start building the family you wish you'd had all along. Because love, in the end, is the only thing that really lasts.